Hello everybody, welcome back to the United Stand and welcome back to Ben Foster. It's been 3 weeks and we've got 3 big talking points. We're going to talk manager. You want to talk about Garnacho liking my tweets and give us the inside track on what that happens in the dressing room. And also, I did say we'd ask Ben Foster for his goalkeeping expertise on Onana at the weekend, who seems to have gone under the radar, but I think he should have saved at least one of them. How you doing, Ben?
Yeah, I'm good. It's been a while, hasn't it, mate?
Yeah.
It's nice to be back, to be fair. I've missed you.
Nothing's changed with United, unfortunately.
No.
We could have left it another 3 weeks apart from the fact.
Has it gotten worse, actually? I know you say nothing's changed, but has it actually gotten worse? Has there been a bit more discontent? Has there been a few more rumblings about the manager? Players liking your tweet? It's all kicking off down at Old Trafford, mate.
It is. It definitely is. And I think, but I think there is a similarity to probably the end of every other manager. It's I think every United fan just feels I've been here before. Players for different reasons. I was talking about this last night, and some people didn't understand it when I said, you know, downing tools isn't just the traditional Rashfords, Casemiros. I think Bruno is downing tools in a sense because he's trying too hard. He's indisciplined. That you know, people just aren't doing their jobs, in my opinion. But talk about job. I wanted to ask you with Erik Ten Hag. Do you think the writing's on the wall now, and they probably should change it, considering, you know, whether it's right or wrong? Can you come back from that situation? I mean, do you think the damage is probably done in the dressing room now?
Yeah, I'd say it's probably not even just the dressing room. It's probably the results as well. I think there's too many rumblings about it now. I think the last time we were on, actually, we spoke about Paul Scholes. Do you remember when he said, I've already heard that apparently behind the scenes they're already making plans to find the next manager. And I think when somebody with sort of legend status like Paul Scholes say it, then he's got his ear very close to the ground. He hears a lot of things that we don't hear. So he's probably
he likes feet, doesn't he?
He does, yeah.
So
he loves feet.
Definitely
he's
got
down
his,
there.
he's
Yeah.
got his
I
Instagram.
like it. I got it. Well done.
Sorry, Paul.
I got it.
It was on Instagram.
So yeah, I think the writing probably is on the wall. It's a shame it has to come to this, really. It seems like it's going to end on a bit of a sour note. Obviously, you got him walking out of his press conference the other day as well. And it was a bit of why did he do that? I don't feel the reason why he needed to do that. It was a normal press conference. You know you're going to get pelters as a Man United manager if you don't win. Just remain calm, just answer the questions and go home. Simple.
Do you think it's the right thing for him to go? You know, considering it's happened to 4 managers now, it's the same routine. I mean, as an owner, I think he's going to go, but I just think if I was Ineos, I'd go, this is what the Glazers have done. I'm meant to be something new. Sod it. I know whatever manager I bring in, the same set of players have done this 4 times. I really need to not go down the manager route first. I mean, but then they probably want their own guy.
That's what I mean. There's too much of a bad smell already now, though. Do you know what I mean? Regardless of whether it's the right thing or the wrong thing. And I just think there's too many negative stories, too much of a percentage of the fan base want him out and want him gone. That,
you know what? That's interesting, though. I mean, that's probably something you don't pick up on because you don't, spend all your time on United Twitter and stuff like that. The funny thing is, even after the Bournemouth game, straight after the Bournemouth game, we've got like 50, 60,000 people watching, did a poll, 60% say keep Ten Hag.
Really?
So the fans actually, even though the media and everybody else would probably think, oh yeah, the fans have had enough, a lot of fans are like, look, he might not be the guy, but I'd give him another year to get rid of some of these players first.
40% still an awful lot of people, though, isn't it?
When but with Mourinho, it was 19. Yeah, with Ollie, it was 19.
I just think with a fan base as big as Manchester United, 40% is a huge amount of people. And you always know that bad news makes much bigger noise than the good news. So you might have this 60% singing his praise and saying, no, he's the guy for us, he should be the one leading us into next season. 40% will drown out that 60% easy with all the negativity, all the bile that they'll be spilling. And it just feels inevitable now, I think, is how it feels, really.
Where would you go next? Because my big thing is, I've said to the community, I've said, if they're going to sack him today. Yeah. Because there are managers there that you can interview that you can't interview at the end of the season because they'll be gone. Yeah. And if you wait to the end of the season, you're probably leaving yourself with Potter or Southgate.
Do you know what it is? If United have already decided, if the new guys have already decided that they're going to bring a new manager in, they've already got that guy. It doesn't matter.
Keep that quiet today?
Yeah, of course they can. There'll be 2 or 3 people that will know about that. There will be the very top guys, the head honchos, and they'll know, and it will probably have already been sorted. So that's if it is going to happen, by the way. I wouldn't worry about losing out on him by leaving it a few more weeks. If they've already got this in their mind, then we're talking about billionaires here. We're talking about proper business people. They know what they're doing.
The only thing I would say about that is when it was Van Gaal to Mourinho, everyone knew it was Mourinho, and now the only name that people think it is Southgate. And a lot of our fans want to deny that.
What do you think about Southgate? What would you make of Gareth Southgate coming in?
I just think it's like a nightmare. I just don't think I don't want him as England manager. So to think that I just can't imagine that guy running Man United. He's just not a Man United manager for me. But
I don't know anymore. I really don't know
what's
anymore.
Man United now?
Well, I think first of all, Gareth has done a fantastic job for England on the broad look at it. Look at the broad look of how Gareth Southgate has done since he came in and took over and has now taken us to a team where we're expected to get to semi-finals of World Cups and Euros. Okay, I think that's the way I will look at it and go, well, that's massive progress. If he could do that to a Manchester United where they are finishing second in the league, competing for Champions League, competing for FA Cups year in, year out, then that's massive progress. And I'm not saying he can do that or he can't do that, but I just look at what he's done for England and I think, well, you know, it's easy to quickly jump on the bandwagon of saying Gareth Southgate's boring or he's a bit too sort of milky and this and that, but his proven record shows that he does well.
Would Liverpool go for him?
No.
I'll rest my case, Your Honour. This is something Ben wanted to talk about then. So look, you're basically saying you think he's gone. Would you keep him? That's one thing I didn't ask. Would you replace him or would you keep him? Ben Foster opinion.
Yeah, I think there's too much negativity around it all now that it's regardless of he could win every game until the end of the season. There's going to be that 40% fan base that are still going to be singing from the hilt that he needs to go. So once you start getting too much rotting, too much negativity, it's inevitable.
What about the 60%?
It doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter.
He likes the minority view then.
It's hardly a minority. It's 60-40 still, you know what I mean?
Well, it is a minority, 40-60.
I understand how it works.
Yeah. GCSE maths with Ben Foster. This is why he's a footballer. Right, you wanted to talk to me. You can get me on the spot now. You wanted to talk to me about the Garnacho stuff.
Right, yeah. So I've seen that he's liked your tweets. I don't actually know what the tweets are. Okay. So can you explain to me what the actual tweets were?
Well, apparently it's my fault, as per usual.
Why wouldn't it be?
That's how social media works. So at half-time, he subbed off Garnacho, and I basically said...
Did he deserve to get subbed off?
He'd had a bad half, but he's on the right wing. We're better with him on the left. I'd have took Rashford off, who did nothing, and put Garnacho on the left. I think Garnacho has money in the bank based on the fact that he's done stuff this season and Rashford hasn't. So I basically said something on the lines of, I don't agree with Garnacho being taken off. He's actually put a shift in this season and done stuff. Move him to the left, take Rashford off. You're basically hanging him out to dry, taking him off at half-time. So that was what I did at half-time. After the game... Ten Hag basically highlights mistakes down the right-hand side. We've got to do better. It's not acceptable, etc. And I said, you know, there's players on a lot more who are a lot more experienced who he never calls out, and he's basically just thrown Garnacho under the bus. Don't agree with that. He's 19. Garnacho likes both tweets.
Oh gosh. Okay, yeah.
He's unlike them now. He only did it for about 12 hours, but
the damage is done.
Yeah.
The damage is done. It'll be interesting to know if it's actually him who's done it. Because you got to imagine every one of them players will have a social media manager, basically somebody that will run their account, somebody that will post pictures. But
I don't think. You know what? Actually, you know now you say that, I don't think it's him. But I think I know
players do have access to their social media, so they are in a position to like it or unlike it or post stuff if they really want to. So that'll be interesting to know if it was him that did it. Either way, if it wasn't him, his social media team needs sacking because you can't do that. Genuinely, you can't do it. I don't care who it is or what it is, whether you've had the biggest... You can't go liking one of your tweets. I'm sorry, Mark, you can't. The fallout in that dressing room, oh my God. Like, that causes so much of a friction, you know that. Especially at Man United, you know that every little move that you make is going to get magnified. You can't go liking a tweet, whether it was him or his team. It's so foolish. It's just going to create headlines. It's going to create more bile, more negativity. It's sloppy. It's such a schoolboy error from either him or his team.
Yeah, but you know what? To be honest,
you might have had a point. Don't get me wrong.
I'm not deleting my tweets. Yeah. I completely stand by it. I think Ten Hag was weak at the weekend. I think he has shown as you were saying, I'm sort of with everybody else who says he will be sacked. I think he will be sacked because I think he's displayed tendencies over the recent weeks that are weak. Like his obsession with Casemiro and Rashford have been when they played so bad.
So why didn't he bring Rashford off at the weekend then? Because if he's not putting a shift in, cause I didn't watch the game. I was driving down to London. But if he's not putting a shift in, this is the bit that I can't wrap my head around. This is the bit that really annoys the Man United fan base, I promise you. That 40%, this is the bit that really riles them, is there's instances week in, week out, that the same players really aren't putting a shift in. They're not really busting the gut to get back, get forward and shut down. And Casemiro at the weekend, Rashford, why is he still playing them then?
Well, and I know, and look, I'm bored of the Rashford thing because the danger with the Rashford thing is it just becomes a pile-on of Rashford, and he hasn't played well this season, but he shouldn't be picking himself.
Not playing well is acceptable. Yeah? You can accept a player not playing well. You can, but not putting the work in, right, Mark? Honestly, right? If you watch Liverpool at the weekend, even though they lost, they put the work in. Every player puts a shift in, getting up and down and up and down. Man City, the same thing. They're playing at Luton. Every single player is busting a gut to do everything they can at every single opportunity. You see it. But you've got Man United players that, like that Casemiro. I know Jamie Redknapp went off on one and said about it, but he's right though.
You know
mate.
What? Every part of me wanted to go in on Redknapp and say, yeah, that's disrespectful saying he's playing soccer. But that's what I was going to say. Look, we've spoken about Rashford to death. He isn't playing very well. He isn't putting a shift in, and he deserves the criticism. But it's wrong just to always go in on him because. Yeah. When I look at Ten Hag, the Casemiro one, he's centre midfielder. He's diving in on the edge of their box. Then he's nowhere near it. Yeah. You're telling me that Amrabat's not going to run around. He might not be as good, but the form Casemiro's in, he'll run more. He's fitter. Yeah. I just don't... And he plays Casemiro for 90 minutes. And you just go... Well, you've played the game. Do you get to a point with the manager where they're almost like, give me the payout, let's just fucking get this out anyway? Yeah. Because it just feels like he's almost like keeping Casemiro on for 90 minutes... Rashford, we've spoken about. Mason Mount, he brings on in the 78th minute. He spent 55 million quid on this player, and he's looking behind. You can tell he doesn't know what to do with him. And you're just like, does the manager know the writing's on the wall and goes, you know what, I'll take the 10 million, I'll get a job in Europe, I'll go again.
Is that what he's going to get, 10 mil?
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be nice, wouldn't it? Yeah. Blimey heck.
Casemiro, you can stay on.
I've been in football teams and I've played for managers that if their central midfielder, and that was his job, is to get about the pitch and shut people down and break stuff up and disrupt, if that's his job and he did that for the second goal, I've played for managers that would have just brought him off there and then. Yeah. That would have seen that, exactly. He would have seen that happen, a manager, and he would have gone, whoa, that does not, get off now. And Monday morning, you'd have had a team meeting and you'd have shown every instance of this, right? And you'd have gone, right, lads, have a look at this. And Casemiro would be sitting there and it'd be horrible and it'd be uncomfortable, right? But it's accountability. You need to be made accountable when you're not putting the work in. Like I say, you can forgive not playing well or technically just falling short a little bit. Confidence might, but putting the work in is the minimum.
You know what? It's quite niche at the moment, and I'll probably get clipped up, but everyone's playing pro clubs. And if you've ever played holding midfielder in pro clubs and your team's doing quite well, that's what Casemiro's doing at the moment. You know, when you don't do your job and you sit at the back and you join the attack and then they break on you, you just sort of like go, oh, I was forward. It's not my fault. It's mad. And that's what I mean about the Jamie Redknapp thing when he said he looks like he's playing soccer aid. It's really offensive to somebody with the CV that Casemiro's got. Yeah. But when you watch him against Bournemouth, you sort of go, he is just not doing his job. He's like sort of up in the edge of the box trying to play 1-2s. It's Man United in a very competitive league.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's Man United or Chelsea, or it could be Fulham. I don't care. If you're that holding midfielder, if you're that central midfielder, you work. It's a given. That's your main job role, is to work, is to get about the pitch. You've got to be mobile, you've got to be energetic, you've got to be sort of really rat on people and shut people down and be that disruptor. And if you're not doing that, you don't deserve to be in that starting position.
Does this reflect badly on Bruno as a captain? Because we know he runs around everywhere and nobody can doubt his effort levels. I doubt his ability levels, and I don't know why people have a problem with that. I've not given him more than 6.5 for about 6 months. Yeah. Which is unacceptable for a player like Bruno. But I'll never doubt the fact that he'll play with an injury or he'll run around a lot. But as a captain, there's a lot of indiscipline in that team. You think about the big captains, the John Terrys, the Roy Keanes, the Tony Adams, the Vieiras. I just can't imagine them being in a team and allowing Casemiro, no matter what's on his CV, or Rashford, no matter what he earns, I'd be going to Rashford and saying, "Fuck, come on, run." Casemiro, I'd be like, "Stay back as the holding midfielder, keep the shape." But
I think it'll be very harsh to pin it all on Bruno.
No, I know, but I don't think he's a captain.
No,
I think he's had a lot of stick for that. I think he's the best option. It's not his fault United haven't bought any leaders in. He is the best option. But I look at that team and it is rudderless.
Yeah, exactly that. I think that's the sad thing about it is that
even if he was a good captain, I don't think there's enough characters there to respond to him. But there's no leaders there.
You haven't got enough characters. It's as simple as that. You haven't got enough winners. You haven't got enough men willing to sort of really put their head above it and go, right, come on, let's fight for this today. Let's scrap. And like I say, when confidence is low, the best way to get your confidence back is to work hard. They say the harder I work, the luckier I get. And it's true, because it's all about work rate. It's all about intensity. It's showing that willing. It's not letting your head drop. And there's too many players that are so quick to let their head drop and not put those hard yards in. And I think it's probably really hard for Bruno, to be fair, because I bet you every game he goes into, he thinks...
Well, you can see him at the end of the game on Saturday, he's spent and he's pissed off.
You're playing away at Bournemouth, right? And in all due respect to Bournemouth, right, they've got some fantastic players, not world beaters, but you know they're going to work hard. You know that when you go to Bournemouth, then it's going to be a battle, and you have to win the work battle first. If you want to win a game of football against Bournemouth, you have to win the work battle. And Man United just weren't willing to do that, so there's no surprise they didn't get the win.
Let's talk about the goalkeeper. Bit of a split in the fan base. Some people genuinely just don't rate him as a goalkeeper, although, and some really think he's going to be the next De Gea, Schmeichel, etc. I think at Christmas it looks a bloody nightmare. I think he has stabilised a little bit, but in my opinion, I've always said I think he's vulnerable when it comes to the basics of being a goalkeeper, i.e. his handling and getting down to shots. I think he's a good distributor, but in a team like United, we're not playing with a sweeper keeper, so we don't see the best of him. Got one in at the front post, the second one. The other one from the edge of the box was the one for me. I think he's too far out to get beaten from there. The near post, I always say, is a near post glitch on FIFA. Which could he have done better? You're the goalkeeper.
I think the first one is the one that I kind of looked at and I thought, oh, that's just gone in a little bit too easy, that has. So it's the one where Solanke...
I mean, it's got so much time, hasn't it?
So much time. It's ridiculous how much time he's got, in fact. He's cut inside, opened the goal up, so he has got the whole goal to shoot at least. There's a defender trying to get back in. And I just think the ball has not really gone fully in the corner. He's not absolutely leathered it. It's not ripped the net off the back when it's gone in. It's about, I'd say, it's getting on for about a metre off of that far post. Yeah, it's about a metre off of Onana's right post. And I just think that you have got to be a bit quicker getting down to that. I think you have to be a bit more dynamic to it. Once he starts to get that ball out of his feet and he knows that he's going to be shooting, he's not going to be side-footing it. You can tell from his body shape. You can tell that he's just going to be drilling it. That's the position there where you have to sort of get a little bit lower, get your hands down ready to go and just be ready to have that dynamic push, whether it's to your left or right. But you have to wait for the ball to be struck first. And I just think his reaction time is instant push. Just probably isn't dynamic enough. I'd expect other goalkeepers to have saved that first one. It's not. I'm not pointing the finger and saying he should have saved it, but I just think there's quicker goalies that would have saved it.
And we've said that a few times.
Yeah, exactly that.
He's not that strong.
Dynamic,
down low.
He's not so dynamic. The second one, I don't blame him whatsoever. It's such a tough one to save because he's blinded by players. When the players actually took the shot, there's a big leg right in front of it. You can't even really see that ball. You've got very minimal reaction time. And he absolutely levered that into the corner.
So you can get beat on your front post.
Oh, without doubt. The old adage of don't get beat at your front post that don't count anymore. I promise you that's gone right out the window. People who say that are people like you and your Gary Nevilles and all that kind of stuff who don't like goalkeepers.
That's why I ask you on. I think the first one he maybe should have done better. But I mean, look, in no way am I sitting here blaming that result on Onana. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just... It's another area of the pitch where you could go, we could have done better. But bloody hell, I mean, there's so many people.
I'd say, again, similar to last season, the goalkeeping situation for me is probably one that you don't really need to worry about for Manchester United. There's so many other positions on the pitch that you need to worry about. But we said this in the summer. You had David De Gea, who was doing a fantastic job. Should have kept him, should have stayed on. You wouldn't have had to worry about that position. And you should have invested in other positions on other people and other players. And
it's a good point, because I remember saying that last summer. I was adamant that we shouldn't do it and that what a waste of 55 million or 50 million it was. And, you look at Ten Hag now and it's about, whether the players should survive and sacking another manager and whether Ineos want him. But, you go back to that decision. That decision for me, when I look at the season, when you look at leaders in the dressing room as well, I think United would be comfortably 6th and maybe even fighting for 5th if they'd kept De Gea. I think he's worth another 10 points.
I totally agree. I think he was a bit of a leader behind the scenes. I think because he's such a calm and influence on everybody. I think he benefited the team. But again, it doesn't matter what goalie it was that you brought in. The mistake was just not renewing his contract, basically.
Yeah, and a lot of people said about Onana, we need a ball-playing goalkeeper. Well, they're silent now because we don't play ball-playing football. So it was absolutely the biggest waste of time getting rid of De Gea. It doesn't get spoken about enough. It was absolutely stupid. I understand the ball-playing goalkeeper, but we don't play out from the back and we don't play with the
I reckon
keeper.
David De Gea's probably had the best year of his career so far. I bet he's had a lovely time he has. He's still got £100 million sitting in the bank chilling. I bet you he's had a lovely holiday here, there and everywhere every few weeks. What's not to like?
He'd know, retired goalkeepers. Noticed the 100 million in the bank chilling. Legends, thanks very much for having you on, Ben.
Absolute pleasure. Nice to be back. Nice to see you, mate.
Yeah, good stuff. Get your comments in below. Loads to talk about there. Cracking video. Smash a like on the video as well. And we'll speak to you all a bit later. Cheers.